Oh, howdy all, grab yourselves a beer, it is time for some Path of Exile discussion. Today, I wanted to give a bit of an update on how the Trickster that I built for Blight League is going. I currently got them at level 93, they're an Ignite-oriented Fireball build, and whilst they're primarily a Fireball character, I am using Vaal Fireball as well. In terms of gear, I'm not using anything truly extraordinary except for this one piece, Skin of the Loyal. This was sourced by my divination card, the Price of Loyalty, and it's not truly extraordinary, but it does give +2 to the level of Fireball and a couple other little extra bonuses that matter, on top of having colours that are perfectly serviceable. Everything else is pretty budget. I paid a little bit for these gloves just because they had fire damage over time multiplier, life, and resist that I needed, so they were actually quite a good pickup. I'm using the Searing Touch because it's just better than anything else that I've been able to source. You can certainly get much better for the 20 Exalt range, but for the sort of 2-3 Exalt range, you won't do better than a Divine Perfect Searing Touch. And Snakepit is cheap and criminally underrated. This is such a good item and you'll get to see it. Otherwise though, the rest of the gear is dumpster tier. And what I wanted to do is run a couple of high tier maps and give you a bit of a sense of both its strengths and its weaknesses. So here's a Shaped Dunes. You'll see it's got Bloodlines, Physical Reflect, which does nothing to me at all, Twinned, and Beyond, and Endurance and Frenzy charges for monsters on hit. So this is a pretty easy map. Let's run it and see how we go. This is a tier 15 map, and it should not be influenced. You'll see how I'm off-screening entire packs from a mile away. That's the strength of the build, and here's Vaal Fireball. It basically is a 2-screen wide stream of death. Everything that gets hit by even one of the fireballs generally will ignite. I have a 100% chance to ignite on normal maps, and that will then result in a spreading wave of carnage. That sounds good. It's a tier 16. I should actually do a bit of a discussion of my Atlas strategy, how that's adapted over the league, because I'd originally planned to go Elder Lair, and I haven't done that. I've gone something else. The Elder Lair strategy will still work if you're doing it, but I think there's better options now. I really should take yellow maps off my filter. There's something that I still have on because in previous leagues there's been reasons to have them, but with the new master system there's basically no reason to want lower tier maps anymore. And we've got the boss left and we've got Cassia for the Blight. I haven't navigated this zone very well. I should learn Dunes better. So here's the twin bosses, and you'll see that they're dying acceptably fast. These monsters will heal to full at 50%. And I have a lot of chaos resistance in my gear. That's... oh, Atlas mission. Okay, so that's the end of the map. There's a couple of loose ends that I can pick up, which, if anything that's in my way, I'll kill. And then I'll go and do the Blight. This character is an absolute joy against Blights. It's sometimes weak... oh, nice. It's sometimes weak against the bosses. And I have a couple of strategies that I use against them. So looking here, minions, a lot of resistance to minions. So I'm going to focus on killing the monsters myself, and I'm going to have glacial towers as my last resort. And I have no bosses because there's none of the boss icons appearing, which is good news because bosses are a pain in the ass. I'm pretty weak against them because I have a lot more hit points than anything else in the game, pretty much. You'll see how they're basically the monsters are just dying really fast before they can be any sort of problem to me. Towers are functional, and ooh, I've got a Beyond boss there. And it's chaotic as it always is in a Blight, but I just set up more and more towers. I think I've... oh no, there's another wave coming. Forget how rough these can be when you get a combination of a map that inherently has Beyond and then you do the Blight. Okay, so the one that matters of these is going to be the oil chest. It has a lot of potential. It's a low chance, but if it drops one of the blighter maps, That's a big payout. So this is the chest that matters. Oh, tier 12, nice. That's a that actually ends up with me leaving here with probably. I got very lucky in this map. Let me just have a quick look. So they're 9% of an exalt each. That one I brought in with me. That's probably more than half of an exalt. Yeah, that's. I got 2/3 of an exalt and loot in that map. That was not expected. Always happy when that happens. Anyways, let's demonstrate with another map. So we've got this Dunes, which is an 8 mod map, and you'll see here we've got increased damage, twinned, multi-proj, chain. Chain means that I'm not going to use my golem. My golem's not that important to me. We have minus max. We have intense crits from bosses, from monsters, and power charge on hit. So that's a nasty combination of mods. And her players are cursed with enfeeble, which doesn't affect me very much. So let's just put this golem to sleep. Normally I would run with a golem just for the passive buffs that they provide, but when there's chain and multiple projectiles, it's a terrible combination for golems. And as you can see again, the wave of death that comes from Vaal Fireball is impressive, but whilst this is a Fireball build, and Vaal Fireball is a bonus, it is not the centerpiece of the build. And so I don't abuse any of the tricks to cast it more often than you could otherwise do so. That's Divination Distillate, is it? Haven't seen that in a while. It's a very rare item these days. Not very good, but people don't seem to use it very often. Tier 10s I will pick up. Now, whilst I'm showcasing the strengths of the build at the moment, this is not a boss specialist. This is an 8-lane Blight, which is good to get. That's a league challenge. I've already got it, but they only appear to spawn in tiers 15 and above. So there's not much minion resistance, so I'm just going to make a scout tower straight away and then start the encounter. Those scout towers seem to do a lot of damage, and especially when they're augmented with these. At least I think they get benefits from these. I think they get benefits from those towers. A lot of things I just don't really know for certain. There's no bosses in this one, so I'm just going to focus on dealing damage. And again, I'm using my Empower Towers a lot. Media Towers, everyone's raving about them, and I don't really know for sure. The one that I feel is really strong is both the tier 4 Empower Towers are really good. So there's both the one that makes enemies weaker and the one that makes you stronger. It just seems like it's really strong, although I can't put any numbers to that. It's just a feeling. Okay, so that's we got an oil chest again, which is good. It has a lot of potential. It's not the jackpot that we got last time though, unfortunately. Let's go pick up all the loot. And just because I know what that is, I'm not going to loot it. I really need to tighten my loot filter on uniques. And there is just so much loot there on the ground. Oh! Now, I'm very squishy, as you can see. I've got a... I'm actually running Discipline as an aura at the moment, which I don't think is the right call, but it just feels useful just for buffer for when I make a big mistake like that. I made a mistake. I went too aggressively into a pack without throwing a little present in there first, a fireball, and Discipline was the difference between me losing 10% XP and getting away with my mistake. As I did. Now you'll notice the Celestial... Oh! I was not expecting to get one shot by that. Oh, nice. Atlas mission from Nico. Anyways, like I said, I'm squishy as all hell. That's partly a matter of gear, and it's partly a matter of the fact that I'm still using that I'm still using the Skin of the Loyal. Skin of the Loyal is a chest that provides very little defensively. Even though I'm using Discipline, which gets double effectiveness because of the Skin of the Loyal, I still feel I'm very, very squishy. I also need to add a defensive flask in somewhere, but I've just got to give some more thought to that. All in all, that's how the build is looking at the moment. It's very weak against bosses in general, because whilst I can burn down these ones very easily, ones that are much tougher, so Shaper Guardian and up, I need to fight them for quite some time. My current damage per second against bosses is of the order of 250,000. That's from the ignites, and I don't get very much damage from the hits. So you'll see here that my damage per second from Fireball is only 40,000, but then the ignite is dealing 250,000 on top of that. So I'm getting damn good screen coverage, but I'm not getting extreme anti-boss damage. I am using Flamethrower Trap as an experimental strategy of trying to deal more damage, but I'm looking for other options as well, because Flamethrower Trap is not pulling its weight all that well. In terms of links, we've got Fireball, Burning Damage, Combustion, Greater Multiple Projectiles, Deadly Ailments, and Ignite Prolif is my current setup, and I am considering swapping Swift Affliction for GMP at various points, partly because Dying Sun allows extra strain coverage. I'm getting my chains from Snakepit, and that is why I have the screen coverage that I've got. And that's basically the thing that is making the build feel like it's all coming together, is Snakepit. What Snakepit does, if it's in your right ring slot, as I've got here, projectiles from spells cannot pierce or fork, but they chain once more. This is an item that only drops from the Guardian of the Hydra, and I picked up one that has maximum cast speed, which is perfect for my build. I don't care about the spell damage because that only counts the hit that your Fireball does. It doesn't affect the burning damage. And Snakepit ensures that when you hit a monster, that you will chain off it and hit something else nearby. You can also get the same effect from the unique item Gloomfang, which is another very good choice. That's in your amulet slot. And I'm going to leave it up to you to decide which one you're going to use there. In any case, I've been happy with the build. I'm dying a little bit, but that's partly because I play recklessly, and I probably would not be dying at all if I was running tier 13 or 12 maps, but instead I'm running 15s. I'm running delves at about... what depth am I at the moment? I'm running delves at depth 230, which is well into about 70 tiers into monster level 83, and I'm dying occasionally. I'm not really advancing past level 93 at the moment, but as soon as I try to and put my mind to it, I will be able to. Any case, I like the build so far. It's performed at least as well as expected, maybe even slightly better. If you've got any questions, definitely fire away below. Otherwise, hope you have a good one.